So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna start out very basic. We're gonna steal inside position, control the back of both knees, and we're gonna make entry into a Rimi Ashigarami. So we're going pretty basic, old school here. If you're gonna have both legs, you'll always knock him down. Jake's gonna have that away, which is pretty common. He'll be trying to strip your Ashigarami and back step through and start to pass your guard. So what I want you to do is dominate this, or be able to dominate this leg by itself. So keep your overwrap, back heel so your hips lift, and start to turn his knee out. What you'll force is normally a knee towards the mat. Okay, and we get to this point. From here, we're gonna continue to turn his knee out. So I use this hook under his glute and my knee inside his knee to start to extend him away. But my Ashigarami actually isn't needed here anymore, and often he strips it anyway. So what I do is I kick that away and I go searching for down here at the base of his ankle. And I start to turn that in as I kick him away, and we get a knockdown response. Now more off the knock, come back up please. We're gonna address this straight away. He'll post his hand. So from here I take a cross wrist and I go looking for that wrist, and then I pull it to myself, and now I knock him down, and now we can start to heist up, or we can continue to attack into the leg because he's on his ass now. Now the second thing I've been doing, if he posts further away, so again, we're into this position here, I start to go. I'll also use a hand post in the inside of the knee as well as a little extra. If I feel I can't reach, I'll take my foot off of the ankle, because once I've got his hip outside the line of his ankle, it's very hard for him to bring it back again. And then I go looking with my foot. Now I'm careful not to just kick my partner in the elbow and hurt them, but I will slide their hand along the mat, or sometimes I'll even just look the direction his toes are pointing and just push his hand out. And this will knock him down, and then you can start to attack. Okay, so just think about these two options. So we make a nice basic entry into a Rimi Ashigarami. I start to try and knock him down, he takes a knee. I take a hand post, my knee goes inside his knee, and I look for the ankle, and I start to go here. I either cross grip, or if it's further away and I can't cross grip, I either push or I slide. I take his hand out, and then from here we can go back into attacking. Get a partner, let's give it a go. So we've got to get him down to his hip. So let's look at another entry we've been using, which is where he's standing. So just then I showed you very basic, we just slid through the middle. It's not that easy when you go live. So this time I come in and grip the back of the knee, my elbow goes inside my knee, my foot is in inside position. So my lead foot's in here, and I'm just tracking him. So if he was walking around my guard and starting to go, I'm just tracking him with this lead leg. I just want it on the inside. He keeps going, he gets on the outside of me, I just track him, and now I grip up. Now from here, I'm gonna just take my head like I'm rolling underneath him, grab the shin, pop this up in the air. Now you've got options at this stage. You can either let this fall down and enter this leg, or you can continue to drag him over the top of you and you can enter the other leg. So more advanced guys, practice entering both legs. Now we're gonna do the same thing as before. I'm gonna start to look at trying to knock him down. We go to here, start to put him on his hip, either gripping the hand out or knocking the hand out with the leg. From here now we're gonna take our knee underneath his knee, and we're gonna start to look to work to reap the leg if we can. So I'm kind of stretching his other leg out, making room in here, and I'm using a knee pull to pummel my foot towards the inside. So what I'm doing is putting this big bend in him here, and as I get the heel exposure, I'm gonna start to pinch my elbow back. So I'm gonna pinch and I'm gonna lift. This high hand, see it starting to make Jake react here? This high hand is very important. A lot of people go fishing for feet, but then even if he just does a little bit of slipping here, you don't catch the heel. So I want your training partner to actually try to hide their heel actively, because that's more realistic when we go live. I think in drilling, he's got no tension in his leg, and you guys all think you're great at getting the heel. And then as soon as I go to here live, I'm like, fuck, that heel's not where I thought it was. So I want you to pinch down, like I'm pulling his toes down into my ribs. So I pinch down here, then onto the base of the foot. So picture you're pushing his toes back towards his knee. So I catch and pull everything in, and then I catch and I lift. Then from here I get two hands, and then we can start to go into breaking. So I just want to tidy up your outside heel hooking. So we're looking at this, he starts to try and go in the guard, I'm tracking him, I get a shin guard, I go underneath, I'm going to choose the secondary leg, so I drag him along and we go up here, I try to knock him down, put him to a hip, and we get to here. From here I'm going to go reaping. So look, I'm opening the second leg and I'm pulling his knee in. I look to catch by sliding down the foot and then pulling the foot back in. So I pull it back in and I catch with high hands, two hands come in, and then we go to our break. Let's go. Okay, so that's looking good. So let's just now have a think about this. Just then we caused a reap and got our foot to the inside. So the pickup is a lot easier than if I try to pick it up when it's on the outside here, because he can open his knee more and you'll start to realize that the heel exposure is all about his knee position. So now we're gonna have a dig from out here. Now we're not just gonna dig on our shoulder like this. This is not ideal. I definitely wouldn't dig on my shoulder like this from outside Ashy. He's probably gonna expose my back. From a Remy Ashy, it's not the worst thing, but we can do better. What we're gonna do is take a knee pull and we're just gonna pinch our knees to the ceiling. So Jake's gonna, your training partner's gonna try to actively turn their knee out and point their toes and point their heel into your rib line. And you're gonna use the fact that he's got tension there to turn everything back in with your knees and your hand. So you're gonna pinch like this. So we're gonna go here, and then I'm gonna hop his heel over my forearm, and I'm gonna lift his foot up into my armpit, and we're gonna start to then put that same weight of pulling his toes back over the top of the knee. So I'm pulling Jake's toes back this way. Now I'm gonna lock my hands up. Now Remy Ashy's not bad for breaking, but Jake can often peel the top knee open. Yep, and do this. And see, I can't drive my hip through anymore. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pummel the foot out and lock my legs. And then from here, I lift the heel, I gently take my hips in, and we get good heel hook pressure. So we're here with a shotgun grip, a Remy Ashy, and Jake's turned his knee out. If I try and dig from here, it gets messy, doesn't always work. So I want the foot high up into my armpit as best I can, and then I want to expose the heel. So we're here, I'm gonna use a knee pull and a pull with my hand to steer everything up towards the sky and catch, and then I'm pulling his toes back. He tries to open the knee, I take the second foot out, and now we lift and go for the break. Let's go. Right, so our whole thing here is that we're in a Remy Ashy, and I actually, for a little while I went away from a Remy because it's the basic one. You're like, I'm better than that, I need more advanced Ashigramis. That's how we kind of think. But the reality is that it's got a lot of use for exposing the heel. So I really like a Remy Ashy for exposing. I think it's much better for exposing than outside Ashy. So I'm using my knees to do all the work for the exposure. It's the same thing as if I had the inside Ashy here and we're out on the outside hip here and I need to expose, I use my knees to expose. Okay, so just think about that. A Remy Ashy is very good for exposing. I'm thinking about the lower body grips, and if I could put him all the way to an inside into a reap, great. If I can turn and get a dig here, great. If I feel like he's just doing a great job and this guy's fucking strong and nothing's happening, I think about switching. Now what we're gonna do is this, we're gonna go outside Ashy, we're gonna go long with the top leg, and the other one's gonna scissor towards my own chest. So what it does is it wedges his calf up high, and then I'm gonna start to take my face up into the floor. Looks a little bit weird here, but I'm still in an okay spot. Then from here, I'm gonna start to look at doing that same pinch and expose. Okay, now he's going to try to hide. He'll be getting his second leg, trying to triangle, all this sort of stuff. So I try to cover his toes as best as possible. I find if I'm further down the leg and he locks a triangle, it's just a pain in the ass. I have to deal with this. So what I try to do as I heist is I try to hide my armpit. So I know where I'm going, he doesn't yet. I know, wait a sec, he's going to look for that foot. So I start to just cover here. Now he'll want to kick on my elbow and do things like that. And if he starts to do that, we'll look at that in a moment. But I get to here. I make the same bite, I'm pulling his toes back. Notice his knee gets pushed into my hip. That means I'm pulling the toes back well. I catch the heel with high hands. I fall back on my side. I lock my legs together, and then I have a very slight lift as my hips go through. Notice I'm not opening my chest as I go into my break. So now we're doing heisting. I'm here, Jake's doing a great job. We're getting nowhere, so I switch and I start to heist. I catch, two hands lock up, I come back through to a triangle, and then we go to the break. Let's give it a go. So we're in this outside Ashy. We're splitting our legs, so one's extending, the other one's pulling to our chest, and we start to heist. And now he starts to look at kicking your leg free, doing all this sort of thing. If I feel this happening, I consider coming off the climber's grip on the knee and bringing my second hand in here and looking for the heel. So I start to look for the heel, I just grip it up with my hand. From here now, I'm just gonna lean all my weight back through my elbow. So he'll be kicking it off, that's fine. I'm not even gonna try and pick up the heel with that leg, with that hand. All I'm gonna do is fall back onto my side and lock my legs, and I'm gonna pinch my elbow to my ribs. So what I'm gonna do here is, effectively, if we just did it in a face-up position, I'm gonna pull the elbow in, but I don't, before I had to catch the heel here. But with this, I don't. I just pull this in, and I cause the heel lift here. What it's gonna cause is, not necessarily huge knee pressure, but it's going to rip their ankle. I've talked about this plenty. This is what happened to me with Chambers. He just got this in the belly down position and then just ripped as hard as he could, and it just turned my whole foot in a circle basically. So be careful in the training room, because this one, if done quick, it definitely will break your ankle. I think Ronan got caught in a similar position by old mate at Subversion the other day. It's very hard. He's doing all the right things. He's hiding his heel, and then I just reach. So I don't. If you ever look, my left forearm can't reach the heel right now, but my right hand can. And then from here, I can come back down, and then I just start to cause a big rotation with the foot. So if we have a look from the belly up position, I want to catch and do this. But Jake's hiding, maybe his second foot was in position, whatever. So I just focus on pinching his toes here, and then I lift the heel and just put a huge amount of torque through the foot. If you have the knee line, you might still get knee pressure, but even in my match, I slipped my knee free. That's why I thought it was okay, and my foot still just snapped. So just have a play around with this. Let's go.